This is it. But no sign of the professor.
I hope he's here and that he doesn't mind us disturbing him. He is a senior necromancer. I don't... Oh!
Visitors! What a marvelous surprise! Any trouble with the lift? Our last guests were stuck for hours. Poor souls. Oh. Professor Emmrich Volkaren of the Mournwatch.
Hello, Professor. We've never met, well, in person, but I've been writing to you.
Belara, my dear girl. What a pleasure. Surely you didn't come all this way just to see me.
Actually, we did. You see, we need a Fade expert.
Rook, fellow Mournwatcher.
Rook! Manners mentioned you.
Impressive flock of undead.
Oh, merely the gifts of experience.
The more the merrier.
I'd be pleased to continue our conversation after I tend to some small business here. I'm sorry, but I find it completely unnatural.
I don't get why you think cremation's so bad. Everyone outside Nevara burns their dead.
All those lost vessels, fine mansions reduced to ash. Manfred, for instance, how would his wisp have fared if I hadn't given it a body?
Manfred's very aware for one of the common dead.
Isn't he? You can see why I couldn't leave him behind. I encountered him as a wisp in the necropolis years ago. A simple spirit, but so curious. He refused to leave my side.
So, you built a skeleton for the spirit to live in?
Spirits are formed from the emotions and desires of people in the mortal realm. Manfred's wisp came from curiosity. It's these spirits which animate the dead. Their drive revives the corpse, yet the corpse colors their actions. Thus, the eternal question, are undead inhuman spirits puppeting a body, or does some shade of the departed return?
I feel something of the soul returns when we revive the deceased.
That's my view as well. It's difficult, isn't it, to prove those lingering glimpses may be grace.
Wow.
Well?
You know, you sound different when you talk Mournwatch things. Way fancier.
I do no such... No, I don't.
Thanks, Professor. I learned a lot today.
My pleasure. Thank you again for coming. It'll be good to perform the rites of remembrance with another Watcher. Excellent. Manfred found his way down. Very good, Manfred.
He sounds excited.
I thought we'd start the rites here. A tableau of the dead, commissioned 173 years ago.
I remember this. A visiting Orlesian mage called it the most macabre thing he'd ever seen.
Orlesians. Fabulous artists, but no eye for the long run. These lives were flickers against the ages, precious, fragile, and finite. Now they serve as a warning. Don't linger overlong in the gloom. Live with grace and fervor while you may.
It's good to hear another Watcher say that.
It's a common lesson.
I like that you're not so grim about it.
That one's livelier. Here. Who were you when you breathed above?
This body was a tailor's, a mother's. She laughed and taught and wove the robes kings wore when they were crowned.
Tch. Someone must realign her thoracic vertebrae. I hope the novices are inspecting the displays.
Being a watcher of the Grand Necropolis should come with standards.
I remember it being better kept in my day. Doubtlessly just the comforting murk of time.
Could ask someone down here if it's true.
There's a thought.
Ah, you're precious.
They're always so fascinated by Mournwatchers, aren't they? We're also enjoying the gardens, but we've one last ritual ahead. On your way, my friend.
Spirits really are your specialty.
I've always had a rapport with them. Even as a child, they were my companions.
After you started training here?
After I was orphaned.
Oh.
A collapsed building, swift deaths. After the funeral, the Watchers took me in.
We're not so different. Watchers discovered me down here as a foundling.
I'd heard a Watcher was found as an infant in the necropolis.
Well, I ran around Nevara streets before I went back to the Watchers. You settled in better?
I needed time. When I first arrived, I was terrified.
And you still joined the Watchers?
They're what saved me. There's much to recommend about the rhythm of a ceremony. It eases our worst hours. As a boy, the Watcher's rituals were exactly what I needed to steady my days with purpose.
If our necropolis teaches us anything, it's to face life and death.
I was grateful for it, Rook. Immensely. All this pageantry, this magnificent gloom and its rites. I ask you, Rook, what is it for?
Let no Watcher forget that our greatest treasury is our dead.
Yes, exactly. This place is an abundance of history, of magic, of memories. The Watchers preserve it so the living may draw comfort from those who've gone before. We must get to the candle, please, Manfred.
I've resurrected simple undead before, but I've never seen a wisp animate a corpse so smoothly.
He's taken remarkably well to having a body, haven't you, Manfred?
So you were really afraid of this place as a child?
It wasn't the necropolis itself, but what was draped around it. Have you ever been frightened by the thought of dying, Rook?
Watcher or not, I don't dwell on it.
It wasn't a choice for me when I was younger. That's when I discovered I possess a great terror of dying. It goes beyond dread. Can't be reasoned with or soothed over. It comes without warning. In the dead of night, in sunlit streets, a raw, strangling fear struck somewhere deep past the heart.
That's an issue for a necromancer.
Oddly, I discovered I wasn't alone. I debated this fear with friends. I argued with teachers. Yet, it lingered. Manfred's right. That's maudlin enough. There are struggles, but a watcher should always find peace amongst the graves. And what sort of homecoming would this be for you if we didn't end with some light refreshment?
Did you set all this up to make a good impression?
Of course not. I was only...
Because it's working.
Then it's my pleasure to share the tranquility of this place with you. With all my regards, but I don't want them to think me homesick.
Hi, Emmrich.
Rook, hello. Just composing a few letters. The other Watchers have been most interested in our adventures.
You have more credibility than I do back home.
Perhaps. Speaking of home, have we really never met around the necropolis before? Even in passing?
I mean, I'm not a mage, so we probably never... Wait a second. Didn't you present astrological scrolls from the tomb of Mother Griselda 2 years ago?
Why, yes, indeed. It took forever to convince the departed Chantry Mother to lend them out.
I miss anything big around the necropolis while I was gone?
Caspar I led a stately procession around the wards of his tomb palace.
That hasn't happened in 300 years.
No one knows what occasioned it. Oh, and necromancers outside the Mournwatch attempted to claim the funerary dead. Again!
It's right in the Royal Charter. Only Mortalitasi ascended to the Mournwatch have final authority in the necropolis.
I've had to explain the distinction between Mortalitasi and Watchers a dozen times since leaving home.
But it's simple. Every Nevara necromancer is called Mortalitasi, and some Mortalitasi join the Mournwatch. Done.
Exactly. One would think.
I should fulfill my Watcher oaths and ask, any supernatural trouble in Nevara?
A gathering of pride spirits down in Cumberland, easily dispelled. And we finally stopped those wandering cenotaphs from appearing in the Weeping Vale. That took some effort. Nothing else, aside from the elven gods disrupting the Fade.
And yet...
There's so much more than spirits in the Fade. Entities and instrumentalities we know only by their shadows.
If you've spotted something in the Fade...
I'm not sure. It's only an occasional stillness where movement and light should be. Let's hope I'm imagining things.
I couldn't help overhearing the word homesick.
Oh, I'm fine. Completely absorbed in our venture. But if I were home, I'd be preparing for new students or requests to speak to the dead.
You didn't stop teaching just to be with us, did you?
I'm long overdue for a sabbatical. Besides, do you know how many students the faculty wanted in my class next season? 10! How's one meant to tailor separate lessons for 10 pupils at a time? Honestly.
Have you used corpse whispering on King Marcus?
Whatever are you talking about?
Come on.
His Majesty's health is a delicate subject. Besides, the palace necromancers aren't watchers. They've their own corpse whisperer.
So King Marcus is dead? Or undead?
Half the nobility must suspect by now. Can you imagine what the other kingdoms would think? I stay well clear of it.
Good to chat. I'll let you get back to your letter.
Before you go, I wanted to thank you for your company in the Memorial Gardens. There's another ceremony I have to perform there. If you'd like to visit again. Not yet, but soon.
You know I can't turn down spending more time with you.
How lovely to hear you say so. I'll always be glad to show you around the tombs, my dear. At your pleasure.
I'll take you up on that.
Wonderful. Until then,